Hey everyone, welcome to video number 10, chapter number 9, Do It for Love of the Way of the Superior Man book journey. I'm a week late on this one, so this one's going to release and the other one's going to release on the same day. I'm going to record these both at the same time. Just been in Sri Lanka for a month and had a great time and just sort of got carried away a little bit, so sorry for being late on that one. But we're in for a good little chapter here and I can't wait to dissect it because it's a really beautiful one. It's a genuinely beautiful chapter. So if you haven't already, go and get the book or the audiobook. I've got the links in the description below. But otherwise, let's talk about Do It for Love, this chapter. So I'm going to read a little bit for you first. And I think it's a really good way to talk about this video is by reading a few little sections of this chapter. The way a man penetrates the world should be the same way he penetrates his woman, not merely for personal gain or pleasure, but to magnify love, openness, and depth. The next time you embrace your woman sexually, feel your ultimate desire, your deepest desire in life. Feel why you are doing anything at all in life, and specifically why you are uniting with your lover. There may be many lesser reasons, but what is your deepest, ultimate reason? Most men's ultimate reason for doing anything has to do with discovering their deepest truth, enjoying total freedom and love, and giving their fullest gifts. Yet, many men settle for enjoying a little bit of freedom and love while incompletely giving their gifts. They enjoy their freedom to buy a nice car, to have loving sex fairly often, and to sleep late on Sunday. They generously donate their spare cash to a good cause, lovingly buy their woman a diamond ring, and happily coach a little league team. These are enjoyable freedoms and real gifts that make a significant difference in people's lives, but for many men, it's still not enough. What I love about this chapter is it sort of made it really clear for me something really big is this do it for love. Earlier in the book, he talks a lot about how, if you feel like you're not with the right person, right? If you feel like you're not with the right woman, then leave. But if you feel like you can be here, then stay. Then understand that it is part of the feminine. And if it is part of the feminine, love it. Love the feminine for all she is and watch how seemingly the things you don't like about your woman literally change. And this sort of gives me another asset here is this do it for love is if you have chosen to stay, choose to live the fuck out of life and your woman as well. Choose to be there in all of you because the alternative really is this, the alternative here is just living in not enough. For example, he has a really wonderful line here, which I think is epitomizes this whole chapter. Few men are willing to give their deepest genius, their true endowment, the poetry of their very being, with every thrust of sex and life. Most men are limpened with doubts and uncertainties, or they hold back their true drive because of fear. So they diddle their woman and the world just enough to extract the pleasure and comfort they need to assuage their nagging sense of falsity and incompleteness. It's like we live half lives. We live half lives, and us as men, we have to change that. We actually have to look at the choices we make and go, this is the life we're living. And if I've chosen these points, then I'm going to do it with all of me, not just half of me, not just a little bit of me, but all of me. And I think that's really made me realize that a lot of the reasons why, I know for myself, a lot of the reasons why I didn't do everything that I wanted was because I was trying to keep the options open. A life options of it could be this, it could be that, it could be this, it could be that. I could be a famous singer. I could be a filmmaker. I was trying to keep those options open. I could be with a different woman, so to speak, right? You keep your options open as much as you can so you don't fully commit. You don't fully throw yourself in there and love with all that you can. And I think the moment you do that, it's such a liberating feeling. There is no FOMO here. You're not missing out on anything else. What you are missing out on is the depth of life by not jumping in with all that you can. And that's the biggest thing I realized by doing it for love. That's why this chapter is really cool, is because I find myself living such a better life by living it deeper rather than living more versions of what it could be. Hope that makes sense. I mean, yeah. And I love that he's got a line here which is like, there are two ways to deal with woman and world without compromising your true gifts or dribbling away the force of your deep being. One is to renounce sexual intimacy and worldliness, totally dedicating yourself without distraction or compromise to the path you choose to pursue, free to seemingly constant demands of woman and world. So that way is like to become a monk. And quite literally, it's so funny because when I was younger, I literally thought, what I want to do is I want to just go to India and become a monk, because that's how I'm going to help people in this world. And that also makes it really clear about my mission here, which is so cool. Is like, I know that my mission was always to help people. And I thought the way that I would do that is just to go to India and become a monk and not actually, have to deal with anything of the world. But, then for a long period of time, I chose the middle option, which was just to have exactly what David Deida has here, is this half-life. But then he goes, the other way to live properly and fully, the other way is to fuck both to smithereens, to ravish them with your love unsheathed, to give your true gifts despite the constant tussle of woman and world, to smelt your authentic gifts in this friction of opposition and surrender, to thrust love from the freedom of your deep being, even as your body and mind die blissfully through a crucifixion of inevitable pleasure and pain, attraction and repulsion, gain and loss, no gifts left ungiven, no limit to the depth of being, only openness, freedom, and love as the legacy of your intercourse with woman and world. Okay, so that's a little bit wordy. It's very poetic. And, I think when I read this book first time, it was very I almost felt it was a little bit too, weirdly enough, a little bit too spiritual for me. Like it actually felt a little bit too flowery to me in a weird way. But it actually just really makes sense. It's deep presence. It's the deepening rather than the widening. And it's such a cool thing. Such a cool thing. There's no better feeling, I think, for a man than to go deeper into something, deeper into mastery of life in all the things that you have, rather than trying to keep all the things at a flesh level, and I think that's where the real beauty lies. So I love how he says that there are two ways to deal with the woman and world. It's to renounce them completely or to really just go fucking all in. And I think that's the point that he's trying to say. If you're gonna have, you may as well have properly. So I'm going to leave this chapter with the final little bit, which I really like as well. You can be a renunciate and live alone. You can be a renunciate and live alone apart from women and world. But if you choose a life of sexual and worldly intercourse, you will feel trapped by women and world unless you are free in the midst of true fuck. So unless you are in that full deepening, right? Unless you're in that full giving, not being terrified to be hurt or not being terrified to be loved, just give. Yielding yourself into the giving, holding nothing back, dissolving all time in the open of love. Through thick and thin, this is the way of the superior man. And I love that. I love that as well. I mean, maybe that cuts to the core of the way of the superior man is just, if you had to say what being a man was, what being a true form of masculine was, it would be to be fully present and deep within what you do. That's a really cool way to live. Yeah. All right, so the next chapter that I'm going to record right now, and it'll launch on the same day, is going to be Enjoy Your Friend's Criticism, chapter number 10. See you there.